at 6 p.m. We will call to order the Board of Zoning Appeals regular meeting of Monday, September 12th, 2022. Time is now 6 p.m. We have a roll call.
Mr. Stone?
Here.
Mr. Brumfield? Ms. Deering?
Here.
Mr. Craddock?
Here.
Mr. Easley? Mr. Merrick's?
Yeah.
Everyone, please rise and join us for a moment of silence. Remain standing. We'll salute the flag of our country. Thank you. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Members of the board, you have before you the agenda for the meeting. Do I hear a motion to approve the agenda or?
Mr. Chairman, can you pull your microphone down a little bit?
I'm sorry?
There you go.
How's that? Okay. Board members, you have before you the agenda for tonight's meeting. Do I hear a motion to approve it?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Please vote. Okay. That motion has been approved. You also have your minutes from the Board of Zoning Appeals meeting of August the 8th of 2022 in your packet. Are there any additions or corrections to those minutes?
I move to be approved.
I second.
We have a motion and a second that they be approved as written. Please vote. Okay, the minutes have been approved as written. Any old business?
I do not have any old business.
Okay. Any new business?
New business, you will have two cases for October. One is for a private event facility, and the other is for utility scale solar energy facility.
On that note, everyone please make an effort to attend next month's meeting because it's possible that a couple of us, due to being adjoining landowners to the solar farm, may need to abstain from the vote. And as the rules are written, we need at least 4 people to vote for or against a motion. It's not a quorum. It has to be at least 4. So please mark your calendars and hope everyone can be in attendance. That's my chairman's report. Okay, the time is now 6:04. We will open public hearing. I'm sorry, excuse me. Always forget this. Ladies and gentlemen, pursuant to Article 5, Division 7 of the Pennsylvania County Zoning Ordinance, we, the Board of Zoning Appeals, have been empowered to read and decide specific applications and appeals in support of said ordinance. In accomplishing this important task, we are charged with promoting the health, safety, and general welfare of the citizens of Pennsylvania County. We must ensure that all our decisions and recommendations be directed to these goals and that each be consistent with the environment, the comprehensive plan, and in the best interest of Pennsylvania County, its citizens, and its posterity. Anyone here to speak to the board other than the applicant regarding the zoning cases will be limited to 3 minutes. The time is now 6:04. We will open the public hearing case S-22-02-011, New Testament Baptist Church. Ms. Ragsdale.
Case S-22-011, New Testament Baptist Church has petitioned for a special use permit on 6.75 acres located on State Road 740 Iris Lane in the Westover Election District for an after-school program and future preschool. On August 2nd, 2022, the Planning Commission recommended by an 8-0 vote with no opposition that the special use permit be granted. The staff summary is enclosed in the board packet. Mr. Chairman, a representative from New Testament Baptist Church is here to represent the petition.
Would you like to come down, sir?
Thank you.
If you would, sir, state your name for the record.
My name is Jonathan White.
Do you have anything you'd like to add to the application?
No, sir, not particularly, unless there's any questions.
Any questions from the board? All right, so we may have some a little later on. Thank you.
Okay.
Anyone signed up to speak?
No, Mr. Chair.
Is there anyone from the public that would like to speak? All right, with that being said, the time is now 6:06. We'll close the public hearing. Comments?
I think it'll be a great thing, and they'll have to abide by the building code, which is stated in the packet. So I think a positive motion would be good.
Is that the opinion of the board? We go toward a positive motion?
Yes.
Okay. All right, I'll read a positive motion, and we'll see if we get a motion and a second for that. All right, whereas New Testament Baptist Church has petitioned the Board of Zoning Appeals for a special use permit for a preschool and after-school daycare, and whereas we find no substantial detriment to adjacent property, that the character of the zoning district will not be changed thereby, and that such use will be in harmony with the purpose and intent of the ordinance, I move the special use permit be granted.
So moved.
I have a motion from Mr. Merrick's,
Second.
a second from Mr. Stone. All those in favor of the positive motion, please make it known by voting. Okay. Your application has been approved. Thank you all. Good luck to you. The time is now 6:08. We'll open the public hearing on case S-22-013, Larry Oaks, for a special use permit for sales, service, and repair of automobiles in accordance with Pennsylvania County Code 35-17. Ms. Ragsdale?
Case S-22-013, Larry Oaks has petitioned for a special use permit on 158.67 acres located on State Road 968, Sandy Creek Church Road in the Dan River Election District for the sale, service, and repair of automobiles. On August 2nd, 2022, the Planning Commission recommended by an 8-0 vote with no opposition that the petitioner's request be granted. The staff summary is enclosed in the board packet. Mr. Chairman, Larry Oaks is here to represent the petition.
Mr. Oaks, would you like to come up and tell us and add anything to your application?
No, sir, I think you pretty much know what I'm doing.
Any questions from the board? All right, thank you, sir. May have a few questions after we close. Anyone signed up from the public?
No, Chairman.
Is there anyone from the public that would like to address the board? All right, time is now 6:09. We'll close the public hearing. Comments, thoughts?
I think it seems like a suitable location for what he's proposing, so I think he's read a positive motion.
Okay. All Craddock has recommended a positive motion. I'll read a positive motion, then we'll see if we get a second, and then we'll have a vote. Excuse me. Whereas Larry Oaks has petitioned the Board of Zoning Appeals for a special use for I'll word it right here, for the sales, service, and repair of automobiles, and whereas we find no substantial detriment to adjacent property, that the character of the zoning district will not be changed thereby, and that such use will be in harmony with the purpose and intent of the ordinance, I move the special use permit be granted.
So moved.
Mr. Craddock? Do I hear a second? Second, all right, sir. We have a motion and a second. Mr. Brumfield, all those in favor? All right, sir. Passed unanimously. Thank you and good luck to you. Thank you, sir. The time is now 6:11. We will open the public hearing for case S-22-018, Darrell and Deborah Byrd, for a special use permit for a public garage. Mr. Ragsdale?
Case S-22-018, Darrell and Deborah Byrd have petitioned for a special use permit on .66 acres located on Highway 58, Martinsville Highway, in the Tunstall Election District for a public garage. On August 2nd, 2022, the Planning Commission recommended by a 5-2 vote with opposition that the special use permit be denied. The staff summary is enclosed in the board packet. Mr. Chairman, Deborah and Darrell Byrd are here to represent the petition.
Ms. Byrd, y'all have anything you'd like to say to the board?
If you don't mind.
Yes, ma'am.
So I'm not sure why we got denied. Mr. Oaks had brought a couple of objections to the board's attention, and I just would like a chance to address those. His first one was it being a residential setting, but that is not 100% true. To our immediate left of our property is a church. The next 3 residents, only 2 are occupied, and then there's another business as the 4th one. 2 more residents, and there's another church. To my immediate right is an empty house, and then we hit the Henry County line. We're within 2 miles of almost 7 businesses that are not all open. Devon's store is not open, but Mr. Ingram is trying to get it upfitted to open again. So I don't understand exactly why he said a residential area, because it's a mixture of residents and businesses. The other objection was he was concerned about parking space. I did leave a picture for each of you to look at. The outline is the .66 acres. Right now, our residence is still on this property. Our goal is to move it further back. We have a second parcel of 25 acres. We're going to move the residence further back, and eventually, when we have the money, put an actual 4-bay garage where the trailer is sitting right now. But right now, what we're looking for is just to be able to use the one structure behind the trailer as a single bay garage. There will only be 1 mechanic. So as far as customer traffic, it'll be minimal because we only have 1 bay with 1 mechanic. So we're not overly concerned about parking because the entire front yard is being cleared out. There was a single wide trailer there. It caught fire beginning of 2021, and we've slowly been removing it. We're doing it all ourselves, so it has taken us a little while. We've also cut down 3 of the trees in the immediate front yard. So we're opening up to a number of parking spaces. So again, I'm not sure the reasoning behind Mr. Oaks' positions, but I just wanted to address those. And I'm open for any type of questions.
How long do you anticipate all this happening?
To put up the 4-bay garage?
No, building the house, moving the house, putting up the garage.
Our goal was in within 3 to 5 years. at that point, we are planning to zone that entire .66 acres commercial. Right now, again, we were just looking for special use permit for the single garage behind the house. But if we need to zone the whole thing commercial now, we can. We've been paying everything out of pocket. We haven't taken any loans. We did get approved for the Rev Up grant money, and this is one of the stipulations. We have to have zoning permits to be able to work from this place.
You currently, do you live in the mobile home that's running parallel to 58?
Yes, sir.
You realize you have to fence in the property.
Yes, sir. We discussed that at the last meeting on August 2nd. That was the one request from my immediate neighbor to the right. No one lives in the home, but the two brothers that own it did request that we would put a fence.
And don't the code require it to be fenced in?
It would require screening, yes.
So you all prepared financially to do that?
Yes. That's one of the things we want to do with some of the grant money. It is, originally we had wanted to put a lift into that back garage and close it in, and with the extra money, get fencing done.
Is that part of the grant request?
Originally, no. Originally, we had done the lift and the closing in, and then we looked at computer stuff like that. But since we found out that we needed fencing, we've readjusted a little bit as what we were planning to do with the grant money.
So the grant has been approved for the lift and the fencing?
The lift and closing in, and we've, like I said, we've changed it to the fencing. Some of it will pay out of pocket.
I just want to be sure, because you can't get a grant and spend it any way you want to.
No, yeah.
And,
I did talk to Ms. Harper, who was in charge of the Rev Up program, about the fencing.
Are you currently operating a garage there now?
Yes.
Any more questions for the applicant?
Do you anticipate any increase in traffic from what's already there now? And this is
little.
just to make it legal, so to speak? or-
Part of it is to make it legal. We didn't realize we had to do the special use permit. Again, Ms. Harper's the one that told us we needed to do that. But part of it will increase a little bit of traffic simply because right now he's only doing small jobs because everything's on the floor. He can't do any lifted jobs, so he's not being able to turn around as quickly as he would like.
It seemed to me there's a lot of vehicles there. And I know last month you mentioned that 5 of them belong to you all,
Yes,
but behind the facility, there's a lot of vehicles.
yes.
I don't know if they're operable or not. I didn't go back in there and see, but I believe there's stipulations about how many vehicles you can have and how many can be worked, all of them have to be worked on inside the building, none on the outside of the building. So are you all aware of all those stipulations with the,
Not all of them, and I'm be glad to find them out. The one that we know we can't work on is the dump truck, and we've already contacted the owner because he wanted Daryl to work on it, and we told him we had no way to work on it because there was no way to pull it in. We have had to work on a couple out on the concrete because we can't put them in the current garage. And again, that's one reason we want to set this other one up so we can do more.
okay. Well, I don't know. I think this board knows my feeling on a public garage near residential homes. We have made 2 big mistakes in the past, and I just hate to do that again. But because the fencing and all that has to be up and has a certain height requirement and everything, I think, screening.
Can I
And
ask a
That
question?
just makes it worse.
Does this fencing have to be on both sides or all the way around?
It has to be, I think it has to be all the way around. I mean, you're looking at enclosing your property.
Okay.
And it's only a little bit over half an acre.
Yes.
And it seems like me, we got a cart with no horse. And we got you want to do these things and you want to maybe move the house back and put a garage, but it just looked like it's a kind of a discombobulated to me, in my mind.
And I won't disagree with you. Honestly, we got thrown into this in 2021. He got laid off.
Yeah.
And everybody was not hiring at that point. So we opted to try to start it. And we started doing the paperwork and started trying to get all our
I understand.
ducks in a row.
You got a lot of ducks.
Yes, it's a lot of stuff.
You got ducks too. I saw a duck.
We do.
Yeah,
Chickens and ducks.
saw that.
You do understand that if we approve the special use permit,
Yes,
that's just the beginning.
yes,
For y'all, and that you will be under the watchful eye of the zoning board, not of the zoning board, but of the zoning commission, and there are rules that you must follow, as Mr. Burks pointed out. I'm thinking it's, 5 inoperable vehicles that are outside?
So with commercial business like she would be, it's a little different. You can place a number through conditions on the number of inoperable vehicles that would be allowed. For commercial businesses, they can't be there for more than 60 days. But they do have that screening requirement.
There is a screening. If they've got 50 inside the screen, then that's...
Correct.
That's...
which will never have that
that's a
many.
garage. Questions, comments? Hopefully the folks are trying to get on their feet, trying to make a living. There's a garage being operated there now. They've gotten some grant money, and they will be under the watchful eye of the zoning commission. More questions, comments? Okay. I have a few more after we discuss it. Thank you. Is anyone from the public signed up?
Mr. Byrd.
How you guys doing?
How you doing? State your name if you will.
Darryl Bird.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Okay. First, I've been in this business a long time, over 20 years. Okay. The only place that I've worked at that has more than a half acre of land has been a dealership. So Oaks was saying about not having enough room, wanting us to move it back on the property. Why would you put a service garage back on a property where it cannot be seen? I'm not starting a junkyard. So, I mean, all the cars and everything that's in there, they work on, they go home. Some people has to wait till they get the money. As far as residential goes, the car lot that's down the road, that's a car lot. So, I mean, it's not residential. Rock store's down the road, there's a little Mexican garage down the road. You know, so, I don't know. I don't understand why it wouldn't be approved.
Well, Mr. Oaks is on a different board. He's on the planning commission. We're the Board of Zoning Appeals, so we're two entirely different boards. So.
Right.
Any,
Yes.
any,
Ask me whatever you want.
any questions for Mr. Byrd? All right. Thank you, sir. Anyone from the public? Is there anyone from the public that would like to address the board? All right, then we will close the public hearing. The time is 6:24. Ladies and gentlemen of the board, as we've often said, there are conditions that will mitigate a situation, then we're obligated to approve the special use permit. If the conditions cannot be mitigated, then we're required to deny the permit. The staff has recommended approval with the following conditions: that the repair activities shall be contained within an enclosed structure. Inoperable vehicles shall comply with Chapter 9 of the Pennsylvania County Code and must be stored in an area screened in accordance with Pennsylvania County 35-121. If we read a positive motion, are there any other conditions that we would want to apply to the special use permit? One question that comes to mind, if one of y'all would come back to the podium. What are your planned hours of operation?
8 to 5.
5 days, 6 days, 7 days,
Right now, 5 days a week.
5 days a week?
Yes, sir.
Eight to 5?
Yes, sir.
8 to 5, 8 to 6, depending on, you know, if I got to get a car out, then customer needs to get their car back right away, it might be 6 o'clock. So, I mean, it's just depending on,
Any Saturday work?
At this point, no, we're not planning on it.
Well,
Unless
we need,
it's something I
we
have to
kinda-
get done.
We really, we can't go with not at this point, because if times were put into the special use, then that would be part of the special use permit.
I'm gonna talk to the inspection officer for Pennsylvania County, because I have my inspection license, but to try to get it to an inspection station, I could have him come over and check everything out. And by Virginia state law with that, it has to be open 8 hours a day, 40 hours a week.
All right.
So,
So 2 customers, we are not planning on being open on Saturday or Sunday.
Thank you.
One more,
What?
Yes, sir.
are you aware of the church that's to the right of the
Exton Chapel
property?
of God, yes,
yeah,
sir.
Action Chapel.
Do they have Sunday morning and Wednesday night service, or? do you
Just
know?
Sunday
Just
mornings at
Sunday
this
morning,
point.
Just Sunday morning.
And it's been that way for the 5 years we've lived on the property.
And I don't know if we want to put a time stipulation on it or not. Of course, we haven't decided yet if we want to read a positive motion or not. What's the feeling of the board?
One question, Mr. Ragsdale, maybe it would answer this question.
Can you speak into your microphone? Sorry.
Yes, I
There
can.
you go.
The first condition requires it to be, the automobiles to be contained within an enclosed structure. They're currently operating a garage there now, so if this board recommended approval, what time frame would we be looking at? A month? They'd have to have it enclosed, a year or 2 years? So that right there, because it seems that may be a concern of some of the people in the area there. So what time do they have to get that property enclosed?
The current operation is in violation of the zoning ordinance because they are operating without a special use permit, which is the whole reason that they are here.
Right.
So they need to bring it into compliance as soon as possible. So as soon as this is issued, we would expect them to be starting construction on and closing that building to make sure that they are operating in compliance. Staff could work with them if they had a deadline as to when that building would be completed before we would start fully enforcing that. But our ultimate goal is from day one for them to be in compliance with their special use permit since they are currently operating as a violation.
And the reason I asked that question, because as soon as possible could be a week, or somebody may think it's a year. So would it help if we put a time on that?
If I may supplement that, Ms. Ragsdale, I believe our zoning violation letter has a 30-day cure period.
It does.
So it's 30 days?
Staff does, we do have a 30-day time frame. We will work with someone, but we do that in increments of 15 or 30-day extensions. And normally we only give one extension, unless it's extenuating circumstances beyond that person's control.
Okay.
So I would say no more than 60 days.
Mr. or Ms. Bird, either one, if y'all would, one of you, got one more question in regard to that. That's a good question. Tell us again your time frame of getting an enclosed structure where you can get into compliance with the county ordinance?
We've already spoke to a couple online places for the lift. We are waiting for a commercial contractor to come back out and do an inspection as per the zoning office. We spoke to Mr. Inman, I believe, okay. He said it could be an engineer or a commercial contractor, and he just has to inspect it. And once it's inspected, then we can move forward with the enclosure. We didn't know it at the time. The building wasn't originally meant to be a garage. Like I said, this kind of fell into us on 2021. It was originally meant to house an RV, but that's why it has to be inspected by an engineer or a commercial contractor.
So there is a building there.
Yes.
There is a garage there.
Yeah, it's built to where you can put a lift
I'm
in it.
sorry, I can't understand you.
It's built to where you can put a lift in it, but, originally we were gonna put a RV in it.
That's why we didn't close it.
But, yeah, because it's got 3 sides closed in, but not the front. As far as the lift goes, it could be next year before I see a lift. I mean, I've talked to Snap-on Man and stuff. Everything's back ordered. So,
But it will be enclosed.
yeah, we'll be enclosed, yeah.
But you may be a year,
Just for the lift.
Just for the lift.
Just for the lift. I don't need a lift. I can,
okay, you don't need a lift to operate.
yeah, no, I can
It
still,
would be helpful, but
Certainly help.
hey, I've done it before. Do it again.
So let me understand, for them to be in compliance now, and they have 30 days to do so, what does that entail?
That would depend on what conditions you all decide to place on their special use permit. So if it's enclosed, if they can get that fourth side on the building, if they put a door on the front and he is conducting, his, any repairs within that building, then staff would view that as him in compliance.
How about the property?
They would also need to put their fence up. So if you go with the 2 conditions recommended by staff, they would need their fence up to screen any inoperable vehicles that they are currently working on. And they would need to put that fourth side on the building in order for the building to be enclosed for them to work out of.
So I guess my question is, if we approve a permit, can that permit not be issued until these conditions are met?
So this may be a question, you can answer this.
It's because they're out of compliance. What I'm saying, they're out of compliance now, but until they do those 2 things, which brings them in compliance,
So we would view this as any other SUP that was not abiding by their conditions. So staff would give them 30 days to come into compliance. If they needed an additional 30 days, we would work with them on that. So ultimately, the permit would be issued, but then they would have 60 days to be fully
Okay.
in compliance with the permit that you all granted.
okay.
What kind of fence are you guys talking
So
about?
bottom line,
Just chain link fence? 6 foot high, 5 foot high, what?
I'm
It
sorry.
has to be screened, so you would need fabric, or, you could put up a wooden slatted fence, something that you could not see
Yeah,
through.
chain link.
Yeah, but you could put the fabric or the the slats in between the chain link so that it's
Just across the sides.
screened.
The chain link, though, has to have a screen on it.
Yes, correct. So either the fabric or the slats or something, but yes, it could be a chain link as long as it had that in addition.
does that answer everybody's questions?
I have only one more, and it may be, I have only one more that maybe the board would like to consider is that sometimes at garages, parts are taken off cars. And this says that cars need to be contained within the enclosed structure. There may be parts, whether a fender, a tire, or whatever. Do we need anything to make sure that everything's enclosed inside of a structure?
All of those items would be inside the screen fence.
If those items are stored outside, that would fall under our solid waste ordinance. So they would be in violation of that. You can't pile scrap metal, debris, things like that. He would need to have a container or something to put that in on site. It could not
Okay.
be on the ground. But you all can add a condition, add a third condition requiring that.
If it's, I'm okay with it. All right.
So, would the board like to consider a positive motion with a third condition that all parts and inoperable vehicles be enclosed within a screened-in fence?
If I may, I apologize, just to supplement your last question. If you're talking about spare parts that aren't waste, that would not be covered by the ordinance. So if you're concerned about storage of parts that will be used in future cars, are still usable, you may want to impose a condition that's your concern.
I think that that would be something that I would be in favor of, is just to make sure things ain't brought there and just set out and may
Anything
not
that's
look.
related to the repair of
Yeah.
the vehicle
Yeah.
needs to be in it.
All right, so let's figure out how to say that. Let me read this before the ink gets cold here. Parts used for the repair of vehicles will be contained within screened fence. That sound right?
Sounds good. I mean, we may want to say supplies and parts,
Parts
something like
and
that.
supplies.
Yeah.
Used for the repair of vehicles will be contained within. Item number 3, if it said parts and supplies used for the repair of vehicles will be contained within the screened fence, or within the screened enclosure. How's that?
Screened enclosure or the shop, but as long as it's in an
Or
enclosed
structure.
area. Yeah.
Or structure.
Structure, yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Fence or enclosure. That's right?
Yeah, within an enclosed structure, yeah.
Okay, all right. Let me read this. I'm gonna read a positive motion, and y'all let me know what you think. Whereas Darrell and Deborah Bird have petitioned the Board of Zoning Appeals for a special use permit for a public garage in accordance with Pennsylvania County Code 35-268, and whereas we find no substantial detriment to adjacent property, that the character of the zoning district will not be changed thereby, and that such use will be in harmony with the purpose and intent of the ordinance, and whereas there are no significant adverse effects upon adjacent property that cannot be mitigated through conditions, I move the special use permit be granted with the following conditions. Repair activities shall be contained within an enclosed structure. Inoperable vehicles shall comply with Chapter 9 of the Pennsylvania County Code and must be stored in an area screened in accordance with PCC 35-121, and parts and supplies used for the repair of vehicles shall be contained within the screened fence or enclosure. Is that something you all can live with
Sure.
if we approved it?
Chair, I think you mean within the screened enclosure or structure, correct?
Screened enclosure or structure. Screened enclosure.
One
or
more thing.
structure.
I hate to be picky, but since it's in close proximity to a church, should we limit no operating on Sunday?
Yes, and as I was reading that, I thought about your time question, and we didn't readdress it.
I don't know.
Item number 4 will be shop hours will be Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, 8 to 12 on Saturday.
For me, and I'm okay with what the board decides, but for a business, you know, I believe that I want every business in the county to be successful. I wouldn't want to put them under conditions where they couldn't operate, but, I mean, unless you put a time like after 9 p.m. or something, but anytime Monday through Saturday, I would think would be okay to run a business.
So we have no time Monday through Saturday? I'd like to have a time, quite frankly, because I honestly wouldn't want to be living beside somebody that was doing sheet metal work around the clock at night. Not to say you would, I'm just using that as an example. We've had that occur. No operations past 6 p.m. Monday through Saturday.
Right. I think that's good. That's good.
Did y'all live with that? All right. The conditions, again, I'll read the conditions. Excuse me. Repair activities shall be contained within an enclosed structure. An operable vehicle shall comply with Chapter 9 of the Pennsylvania County Code and must be stored in an area screened in accordance with PCC 35-121. Parts and supplies used for the repair of vehicles shall be contained within a screened enclosure or structure. No operations past 6 p.m. Monday through Saturday.
I would think that we'd have to have a starting time because,
Okay?
yeah, you know, to make it, you know, whether it's 6 to 6 or something like that.
I'd just say 8 to 6.
Just say, how about hours of operation,
Yeah.
6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Saturday? I've got all of that figured out in your recordings. Does that sound right, Robin?
Sounds good.
Okay. All right, so we've got a positive motion. Do we have, or rather, I've read a positive motion. Do we have someone to make that motion?
I'll
Okay.
make a
Mr.
recommendation.
Brumfield made the positive motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Craddock. So we've got a motion by Mr. Brumfield, a second by Mr. Craddock. All those in favor of a positive motion, please make it known. All right, you've been approved by unanimous vote. Good luck to y'all. Thank you.
Well,
The time is now 6:44. We'll open the public hearing on case S-22-019 Elkhorn Lake ATV Trails LLC. Ms. Ragsdale?
Case S-22-019 Elkhorn Lake ATV Trails LLC has petitioned for a special use permit on 149.1 acres located on State Road 729 Red Road in the Bannister Election District for a recreational use ATV trails. On August 2nd, 2022, the Planning Commission recommended by an 8-0 vote with no opposition that the petitioner's request be granted. with the conditions submitted by staff. The staff summary is enclosed in the board packet. Mr. Chairman, Todd Chamberlain is here to represent the petition.
Good evening, sir. Would you state your name?
Evening, my name's Todd Chamberlain.
You have anything to add to your application?
Nothing more to add to the application. This goes along with all the other land that we've rezoned and also done the special use permit on for the ATV trails. This property is a leased property owned by Quercus, Mr. Clifford Lewis. This property actually adjoins some other property that we just recently purchased this year. It will allow us to better operate our trails and actually provide safer trails as well.
How's the ATV trail riding going?
I couldn't hear you,
How,
sir.
I say, how are the ATV trails going? Are you busy?
We haven't opened up yet, sir. We're
Okay.
still finishing our trails, everything else, making sure that we get this special use on this lease permit as well.
Okay.
Lease land.
All right, sir. Any questions for the applicant? All right, so we may have some after we discuss it. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Anyone from the public signed up?
No, Chairman.
There's no one here, so, all right. Time is now 6:46. We'll close the public hearing. Okay, they've already done several of these.
Mr. Chairman, I
Yes,
just
ma'am.
want to bring your attention to the letter that you should have in front of you.
I do. We read the letter. The board has a letter from some of the concerned citizens of the Elkhorn Lake Campground, and they are concerned that there's a lot of logging going on and no ATV riding going on. And I don't know as that affects our special use permit.
Can I address that, please?
Yes, sir, please do.
All right, currently, I want to say last year we had the state forester, Mr. Mike Ahern, come out there and do a forestry management plan on all of our property. Currently, we're following that forestry management plan. There's a 58-acre tract of pond that was planted back in early 2000. This tract of pond was never commercially thinned. Right now, it's a fairly really tight-knit pine, so recommended that that be timbered and then replanted. Right now, we can't replant next year. We'll spray next summer and then replant the following year. We also did, on the 18-acre tract that we purchased, we went ahead and timbered that in anticipation of later on down the road, we might need a larger parking area. That adjoins the 91 acres that we also purchased this year. That had already been timbered about 2 years ago. Forester's recommendation is we do not need to spray or replant because we have a lot of loblolly pine already grown on that tract. So when it comes to timbering, we're not going to open up the trails until all the timber operations are done.
What's your time frame to open up the trails?
Time frame to open up the trails is probably within the next month or so. We have Mr. Buddy Shelton is doing the timbering operation on that 58 acres. He had some equipment issues, so he had to go to half staff on our site and as well as move to another site. So I'll be talking to him tomorrow. Hopefully he'll be done in the next couple of weeks. He's probably about 3/4 of the 58 acres cut right now.
So I guess I would ask Ms. Ragsdale and our attorney, I mean, we've been asked to approve an ATV application. And I guess if someone owns land, they can log the land if they want to.
That's correct. There are no violations currently for erosion and sediment control or stormwater, which would be the only thing that we would get involved in. And I say we, community development staff, would get involved in regarding logging or clearing. At this point, there are no violations, but this was submitted, so I did want to bring it to your attention, just so that you know.
Yes, ma'am. All right, thank you. Very good. All
But
right.
I think it needs to go in the minutes that we have read it and that it does not apply to the BZA or something to that effect.
Yep.
So it'll be a record of it.
Yep. I agree. Any other questions for the applicant? All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
And as Mr. Merrick's again, what Mr. Merrick said, let the record show that we have read and take a note of the concerns that they are currently not in violation of anything. There's no one here to speak from the public. That being said, then we'll close.
I have a
I'm
question.
sorry. Yes.
Question. Maybe Mr. Ragsdale could answer this one. Condition number 4, I just want to make sure how y'all view that and maybe how the board views that. It says must maintain a 100-foot vegetative buffer along the boundary. What does that mean that someone can come in and clear cut? Or does that mean that when they clear cut, they got to leave the 100-foot?
They could do one of two things. They could either come in and clear cut and leave that 100-foot buffer, or they can go back and replant that buffer. If they replanted, it would have to meet our code section, which requires staggered rows.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Any other questions for the applicant or the board or Ms. Ragsdale?
So
Okay,
you need a positive motion.
time is 6:52. We'll close the public hearing. Excuse me. Change my time to 6:52. All right, Mr. Merrick has recommended that we read a positive motion, so I'll read a positive motion with the conditions. Whereas Elkhorn Lake ATV Trails LLC has petitioned the Board of Zoning Appeals for a special use permit for recreational use ATV trails, and whereas we find no substantial detriment to adjacent property, that the character of the zoning district will not be changed thereby, and that such use will be in harmony with the purpose and intent of the ordinance. Whereas there are no significant adverse effects upon adjacent property that cannot be mitigated through conditions, I move the special use permit be granted with the following condition. Days of operation shall be limited to Thursday through Sunday. Hours of operation shall be limited to 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Thursday through Saturday, and 1 p.m. to 8 p.m. on Sunday. No alcohol permitted on the premises. Must maintain a 100-foot vegetative buffer along all exterior property lines. This does not apply to interior property lines within the total project area. Must maintain a natural buffer along all waterways. Must remain in compliance with all applicable erosion and sediment control and stormwater regulations. Must remain in compliance with all applicable health department regulations. Night rides are permitted once per calendar year until 2 a.m. If the board approves that, is that something you can live with? All right, sir.
Sorry, got another question. This is leased property.
Yes.
All right. So the special use permit follows the property.
Correct.
So if they fail to lease the property down the road, it still has a special use for a ATV trail.
That is correct.
That being said, can we apply this only to their use? And then if the lease, forego the lease, then the special use dissolves?
You may not tie it to ownership, no.
Cannot?
You may not tie it to ownership, no. You could put a time duration potential, but you cannot tie it to specific ownership of the property.
Okay.
But can we tie it to the lease?
No.
And I think Mr. Merrick's concern is that if
find that
someone
odd.
else comes in and takes over the ATV trail and doesn't operate it as we hope Elkhorn Lake would.
I don't know, just that thought just hit me.
It's a fair question. You can put a time limitation. Well, there's some debate whether BZAs can impose called sunset clauses, which is time duration as to how long the permit is in place. However, I'm not aware of any authority to allow you to tie it to a lease or specific ownership of a property, if that makes sense.
Well, I don't know, but in my years of being on this board, I have never known us to approve a special use for somebody leasing land.
I think you're right. I don't remember it.
And to me, they don't own the land. If there's anybody get a special use, it ought to be the owners of the land, not the ones that are leasing the land. But I'm just curious about that.
Well, the owner has endorsed a special power of attorney, and similar to your solar farms. Correct. So I see a special power of attorney from the owner to,
Green Genie owns Powell land.
Mr. Chamberlain, authorized agent of Elkhorn Lake ATV Trails LLC.
I guess we should ask the question, have we already done some special use permits for you all that Green Genie owns the land?
All the special use permits for the ATV trails are on land that we currently own. This is the only piece of property that we do not currently own. It is through Kirkus, Mr. Clifford Lewis, who did, when I submitted the application for the special use permit, did sign a special power of attorney authorizing me to speak on his behalf. Our lease is contingent on the approval of the special use permit for the ATV trails.
And I understand. I'm not an attorney, but I'm just a common sense kind of guy who thinks common sense wise, and it may be perfectly fine. I just found it odd that we would be approving a permit on leased property. So, but you say it's okay.
The use will continue with the property. If whoever is running the ATV trail, they stop the use for 2 years, it will be considered lapse.
Okay.
But can we require that the special use permit be just for Elkhorn Lake ATV Trails LLC?
No, it runs with the land. It runs with the land, so
Which
they're
is
authorized.
Mr. Merrick's
They're
point.
authorized to get an SUP for that property, and it will run with the land, whether it's
So I don't guess it's any
Elkhorn.
different
I
than
don't
owning
want to
the
butcher
land
your
and selling it.
Elkhorn
company
Lake
name,
ATV
sir,
Trails
but
LLC.
with Elkhorn Lake LLC or someone else,
I mean,
it'll
I
run
hear
with the
what
land.
you're saying. And as Mr. Merckx and I said, I don't guess it would be any different leasing it or owning it and then selling it to John Doe. Whether you own it or lease it, I mean, the owner of the land could sell the property at the end of the lease to whomever he wanted to, whether he was the special use permit holder or not. As in with Jeannie.
Okay. I'm good.
Yeah, I mean, it's
I'm
a
good.
valid question.
Positive motion.
Okay. Got a positive motion from Mr. Merrick's. Got a second from? anybody?
Second.
Okay, got a second. Thank you, sir. So we've got a positive motion and a second.
Mr. Merckx has got to hit the
somebody's gotta do something. You have to hit the mover button.
I didn't move it. Did I move it? I hadn't moved it yet.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Excuse me, I thought you said a positive motion.
I did. I was gonna wait till you read the motion. Read
Oh,
it.
read it. I've already read it.
Oh, you have? Oh,
Yes, sir.
okay.
There
I'm
we go.
sorry.
Okay.
There you
Never
go.
wrong.
I got lost over
All
here.
right, we got a motion and a second. All those in favor of a positive motion as read, please make it known. All right, sir. Thank you very much. Do I hear a motion that we adjourn?
So moved.
Y'all, thank you for your help.
All right, I got a question. I'm leasing my farm. Can the guy I'm leasing it to build a condominium